Hello again. I am Joseph, and I'm glad you joined me. My subject today is I'm going to cover a couple of major reasons why it's so difficult for so many of us middle income families to be able to save as much money as we really want to. Again, my name is Joseph Hall. I'm with the Black Apple Group. I have been in the insurance space for over 30 years, helping a lot of families to be able to protect themselves and their income in the event of unexpected death or disability and critical illnesses, things like that. And we have expanded that service to help our families to be able to accumulate money on a guaranteed, predictable basis without having to go through a lot of speculation and taking a lot of unnecessary risk with their money. I have access to over 100 major insurance companies that I can shop the market to compare rates, coverages, and benefits for our clients. We specialize in infinite banking policies, helping all families, regardless of budget, pretty much, to be able to start policies that they can begin to save and accumulate money in. So there's a couple of major problems that we're all facing, and it's just getting worse. We can all kind of feel it, can kind of feel how hard it is for us to save more money, no matter how hard we work. It seems like it's just getting more and more difficult, almost like we're running on a treadmill. Well, why is that? It's a couple things that have been going on for a while. It's not talked about a whole bunch. It's kind of a silent thief, if you will, to our money. The first thing is what's called the fractional reserve banking system. And this system has been around for quite a while now. But just to give you some general idea as to how it works, is when we give the banks our money, the bank is allowed to multiply the money that they spend or loan out by up to 9 times. So what that means is you give the bank $10,000, the bank can multiply that by 9 times and loan that money out. Problem with that is they don't really have that money. So what they do then is they rely upon the Federal Reserve to back them up. So if there's a run on the bank and everybody runs in there to go get their money out, well, they'll just go to the Federal Reserve and say, okay, we need this money to be able to pay back our customers. Okay. A lot of this stemmed from the 1930s. That's the kind of thing that was happening. And the banks could not repay their customers. Well, that's how they solved it today. Here's the problem. When the banks can invent money like this and they can loan out money that they don't have, that creates inflation for us. So what that means is the prices of things that we're paying for is constantly going up. It's interesting that because we don't know about it, we're creating it. We're actually creating inflation by giving banks our money like we do because they take the money, loan it out up to 9 times, which then puts more money out here. So the cost of goods and services are constantly going up. It's like real estate, for example, is constantly getting more and more expensive. And that's part of the problem. There's a second thing, second major issue that we're all dealing with. It is what's called fiat money. Fiat money is money that's not backed up by anything. It's just paper. Okay, it's just paper. It's worthless, nothing. Just but there was a time when this paper was backed up by something, backed up by precious metals like gold. And when that was the standard, then the money had more value because you couldn't just invent it. A lot harder to come up with the gold to back the money. So money had a lot more value than it does today. But now that it's not backed up anything, well, you can just say, you know what, I'm going to just print me up some more money and we'll just put more of this money in the economy at will, just as much of it as we feel is necessary. So what it does is it pumps the economy up and it's not backed up by any real work. So what that creates is a situation where now we all have this money, we're spending it, the cost of goods and services are constantly going up as a result of it. And so it's making these bubbles, uh, credit bubbles and all this stuff because it's money that's not really backed up with anything. We're not working, they're not working for it, they're just inventing it. And then the result is that we wind up spending a lot more for goods and services and the taxes that come along with that. So in effect, when we get our paychecks, what happens? Well, we make a gross income. If you make $100,000 a year, it sounds great until you actually see what your net is, because that's what we're living off, right? Is the net. So after taxes have been taken out, what are you really left with to be able to save money and take care of your household? That's the question. So by the time you get that money, then oh yeah, when we go to the store and purchase things, we got to pay taxes again. right? And I've noticed, I'm sure you guys have too, that the cost of food has just been surging like crazy. So we're just paying more for things. We're paying taxes. So we're feeling the squeeze. The pressure is real. So what can we do about it? One of the things that I'm happy to tell you is that an infinite banking can really help in a couple of ways. One is the money grows on a tax deferred basis. And what does that mean? When you put money in a infinite banking policy, you are accumulating money through interest and dividends. Okay. You get guaranteed interest, which is something that you don't get in a lot of places. You can't use that word in investments, but in an infinite banking whole life policy, specifically a whole life policy, we can contractually use the word guarantee because the insurance company guarantees that interest. So that's one. And on top of that is dividends. Now, dividends are not guaranteed. These are offered only through what's called mutual insurance companies. A mutual insurance company is a company that is owned by the policyholders. And those dividends are not guaranteed. But here's what I can tell you about dividends. They have consistently, mutual insurance companies that we use anyway, have been consistently paying dividends for over 80 or more years. That's a pretty strong track record. I've seen the averages with these dividends of around 5% or better in a lot of cases. That's pretty good. And that's on top of a guaranteed interest rate. So let me give you an idea how that works for you. Let's say you put $10,000 inside of a policy like this, and over time, the growth in the policy is up to $20,000. Now, you've never paid any taxes on the additional $10,000 that you've made. Well, here's the bright side. You actually don't have to. Remember, the money grew on a tax deferred basis. So that means they just defer defer the taxes when you take it out. But if you take it out in through a loan, then you don't actually have to pay taxes on that money. So if you borrow the money out the policy, let's say you borrowed $20,000 out of your policy, you don't even have to pay taxes on it. And if you never repay the money, insurance companies simply subtract that loan from your death benefit. So in effect, that was tax-free money. That's what you can do with a properly structured whole life policy, or what we call infinite banking. So in that regard, we're able to solve two major issues. Inflation, because the interest and dividends in the policy is accruing at a rate that's typically much better than what the 4% we typically pay in inflation. These policies can definitely outpace that, and they usually do. And then the tax deferred, potentially tax free withdrawals that can be taken, thereby allowing you to have a hedge, if you will, on taxation. So these are just a couple of ways, but these are major issues that we all have to take a look at and consider how we can deal with. So if you want to learn more on exactly how infinite banking works, there's a book by the author of the subject, R. Nelson Nash, and you can download his book. The author again is R. Nelson Nash. I read his book, and it's very good. And you can learn exactly how infinite banking works, and you can begin to kind of see how this might benefit you. You can reach me directly at 708-705-7783. You can also learn more about us at theblackapplegroup.com. That's the website. And definitely subscribe to the channel here. I'm going to be doing more videos to give you short but meaningful videos that you can use and hopefully get something from, and help you to kind of think with how can we actually make these policies work for us. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to share. Take it easy.